Welcome to another 88K model railroad video, and today we're going to look at the Woodland Scenic Ridge kit. Now there are a lot of videos that show step-by-step builds. Some of them are like progress reports, and you have a few modification builds. Now I want to talk about this kit from a builder's perspective. Some of the layouts that you see have hidden or underlying issues, and these are inherent from the build process or the way the instructions laid out. So I want to show a custom build based on my build process, and I built this layout in the same manner that I would for an end user or a client. So starting with the feature list and then completing the layout build with a stress test in the train's operation. So this layout can be difficult to build, but not in regards to the build process, but more so achieving a stable layout. Now you see that I have the build quality, and then I talk about the layout stability, efficiency, and operations. And that's what you really need in a layout. So although somebody could follow the instructions step by step, what you expect to get out of the layout versus what you end up with are two different things, and it could be really problematic for like a first-time builder. So hopefully I can show you in this video a version of the Scenic Ridge layout that you can see that it's sound in form and function. So what we're going to do is we're going to look under the hood to see the layout and how it was built. Then we're going to flip it back over and we're going to run a train around the layout, and then I'll kind of narrate some of the aspects of this build. So we'll finish things up by running the demo of Rockrail and JMRI where it's built for the Scenic Ridge plan. So with that said, let's get started. So here's the layout. It's a grid on frame. You've got a 1x4 frame here. It's broken up into 6 areas. It's a grid of 2x3 grid. Now this is the same layout or the same track plan as the original Scenic Ridge. The only thing I did was add the switch here at this upper level. Also, I tweaked the track, and that's something you have to do in order to support a number of trains. But I'll talk about that when we come back on the run segment, when we do the run train segment. So let me flip it over so we can look at the bottom here. Okay, there, you saw I flipped it just with one hand. So the way the frame is set up, you can see it's really sturdy and it's light. I mean, it's not as light as the original Scenic Ridge, but it's light enough where you saw I could handle it itself. But it's more so maybe triple the time of the sturdiness and the robustness of the layout as a whole. So here's the main control panel. The way that the layout is broken down or built is from the feeders here, from the track. The feeders come in, and then I built each one of the feeder modules. I think there's a picture of it. You can see I laid out in the original or the first video. So from there, you have the distribution or the power. Here's the input for the bus, for the DCC signal, the bus. I've got it on the terminal block, and then it's daisy chained here. So it's a single input and then daisy chained, and then you can break out to fan it out to 3 different inputs. or outputs. Now, this is a PCP, which is a power cab panel, and the layout is supported by this, which is a power cab, and it's a DCC command station and throttle all together as one. So this is your main system. It plugs in at the top here, and this is what they call the cab bus. And the cab bus is how the command station communicates with other devices or components in your layout. So here in this case, there's two major components. It's the switch. This takes the signal or message from a switch. Like if you were to throw a switch, that message is broadcast over the DCC line. Then this is basically a decoder, what they call a stationary decoder. So that message to switch number one, or to throw switch number one, it would see that message and then execute that command. So here's switch 1, 2, 3, and 4. The AIU is the interface that reports back to the command station. This will detect a closed loop, which will then generate a message and then also illuminate the whatever LED, whatever position it is, and it'll generate a message back to the command station. Now, the command station will then broadcast over the cab bus whatever that event is, and typically it goes back, broadcasts over the cab bus, and then it connects into this one or sends the message over here. This is the USB interface, and the USB interface is where it connects to the outside world or the computer. So that message is then sent to the computer, and then you would have a program like JMRI or Rockrail, and then display the event on the computer. So this brings another aspect where you can have two people now interacting on the layout. One person is controlling the panel and the switch, and the other one is controlling the train. So you have to communicate with each other on what you're going to do in what they call the operation. So this is something that's missing in the Scenic Ridge in the directions, because they're only showing you to build the base of the layout, not the full operation. So there's so much more you need to do, but then the way that you build the layout, it needs to have some forethought in where you want to build or what you want. And that goes back to, remember I made the comment about the feature list, that a customer would say, well, I want this, 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 and then you build the layout accordingly. But with the Scenic Ridge, there's no list of the features, because that's not in the, it's not in the, what would you call the field or the span of control for Woodland Scenic. Woodland Scenic does the things for the layout and how it's built, not how it operates. So that's a big gaping hole, and you get through the whole process, and then your layout's not doing what you want it to do. So that's kind of what I want to show here on the bottom. So here you can see this is real quick. This is feed A1, and then this is the detection sensor number 10, and then this is feed 2, and then that's number 5. So this is pretty much the layout. And once again, like, here's the switches. Everything's labeled here and documented. So if something were to happen and someone would call, and let's say the client would say, hey, I've got problems with the detection sensor, and okay, which one is it? And it's, the DS1. So you would come directly here to DS1, so you either know that the problem is